Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, we're talking WWE Draft Night 2 and all that came with it. We had NXT call-ups, some brand switches. What are you chuckling about over there?
No, because, I'm monitoring the YouTube stream here, and I didn't mute the tab, so when the stream started, there was an ad for some allergy medication that rolled, and the first sound is someone going, ugh. So that's what the Twitch crowd got.
A great way to start an ad there. Oh man. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about the draft and yeah, that's it. You want to talk about this really quick? Tony Khan responding to Goldberg.
We can, yeah. I had that somewhere pulled up. Where is it?
I'm not going to put it in the thumbnail or the title, but it's we talked about it last week. Goldberg, this is what happened. Goldberg said he doesn't want to work with AEW because their product is cheesy. And then today Tony Khan said, well, this dude wanted to work with us.
Yeah, that's what he had to say. This is Tony Khan was on Superstar Crossover. Talked about Goldberg's comments. This is what Tony
is
Khan
Superstar Crossover?
I don't know.
Why are all these people getting the Tony Khan scoops and we're not getting any Tony
I
Khan
assumed
scoops?
that if we reached out, we could get these interviews. We just don't reach
seems
out.
awkward. I don't want to do that.
It does seem awkward. That's why we don't do it. So this is what Tony Khan had to say. These transcripts come to from WrestlingNews.co. Quote, Bill wanted to work here. I met with Bill several times. Bill was looking to work here. It's funny because I had a bunch of really nice meetings with Bill and would have honestly been interested in doing something. So since you brought it up, I have a lot of respect for Bill. I was surprised by that because that certainly wasn't what he said to me when he was talking to me about working here at some point, which I've always been open to, and I really like Bill. It's all about timing, and we're doing a lot of exciting things right now. Sting just finished up and went out on his own terms, doing things he liked and felt strongly about. I know Sting and Bill are good friends. I really like Bill and have respect for him. When I saw that, Bill talked to me about working here, so I don't think he had any problem with any of that content. And anyone who saw Sting's send-off has had positive things to say. So I'm not sure what that was about, but I do respect Bill and I like him very much. I wish him the best and God bless him. He's a great name in wrestling. I love what we do in AEW. He's entitled to his opinions. But certainly when I talked to him in person several times, in person, in Zoom, and phone calls, we had very nice conversations, and he hasn't said that. It's good to know that's how he feels, and maybe that's an opinion he holds now, but certainly in our past conversations, he's always been a positive and nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's classy response there to a classless accusation from Bill Goldberg.
Cheesy.
Cheesy. He's cheesy. Anyways, what do you think of the draft last night, man?
I mean, it was more eventful than the SmackDown portion of it.
That is for sure.
We had a couple more NXT call-ups during Raw and following. More people changed brand this time around. We had a return. Braun Strowman's back.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So all in all, just a more eventful evening from a draft perspective. I was thinking about this last night. I don't know if it would work, but I want to run it by you.
Yeah.
So they want to a point, adhere to kind of like a sports draft presentation. They have the interviews, especially with NXT draftees. But one thing they are missing from that is teams on the clock, brands on the clock.
Okay, sure.
You know what I mean? Like when you watch the NFL draft, you don't have 4 picks announced in a row.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Someone makes a selection, the next team's on the clock, and now they have to react to whoever picked before them.
Uh-huh.
Say Raw had, Drew McIntyre high on their board, but below CM Punk. Well, come the second round, CM Punk's off the board, Raw drafted him. Like, why wouldn't SmackDown hustle to say, oh, give us Drew McIntyre? He just won the world championship. You know what I mean? It seems like these groups of draft picks are selected, in kayfabe, of course, in bunches, with not a whole lot of reaction based on the previous picks.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good idea. I think I've seen a lot of good ideas floated in terms of how to make it, I don't know, the sense of urgency, the sense of gamesmanship, the chess match that's being played between brands. And instead they try to shovel us with it's just this person stayed on SmackDown. What a great move that was. You know what I mean? It's like they try to tell us, and I get it, like you don't want everybody to change brands because then you're just left with the same matchups. Like Damage Control heading to Raw, I think that's a really good move because there's some fresh matchups there.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. And I think that, especially last night with the NXT call-ups, I thought those were really, really good moves. But yeah, there's definitely that sense of, move, counter move between brands that's totally missing.
How about this? You could have a situation where, for example, on Raw last night, they have first pick. So whenever they want to have the first pick announced, they do it. SmackDown's on the clock. They get 10 minutes. So you have a segment. You could have a match going on. And people in the match are like looking at the clock. All the picks coming up is going to be me.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And especially something like with the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre thing where Drew was upset that Punk was picked ahead of him.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He's constantly focusing on the clock. Oh, when's the next pick going to be announced? Is it me? No.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's tension and drama that can be achieved by having the picks announced a la an actual sports draft. I mean, maybe they just kind of wanted, in terms of how they produce the TV show, keep them in bunches because it just makes segmenting the show easier for them. I don't know. But I don't know. It just feels like a more interesting way to mix it up and actually tell a story throughout the entire show with the draft, as opposed to, for the most part, here's 4 people that are maybe changing brands or not.
I think it probably just boils down to that's too much effort to put in, because that's the only thing that really could explain it. Because you're right. Like the draft should be this, now that Vince is gone, it's like, hey, let's make things more interesting. Let's make things more dramatic. Let's add some tension to this. And those are all things that you really need if you want to do that. You got to have that sense of like, okay, why is it certain people are going before other people? Why, when you have any other sports draft, you always have like, we made the joke about Mel Kiper or whoever, with like, okay, these are the next most talented people that should be going in the draft. So it's a shock if like the 5th person in line, goes, what's the reason? In obviously in actual sports drafts, those are positions that are needed for those teams, or there are reasons why they're drafting, or people will just crap all over it. It's like, oh, I just signed a quarterback for $180 million. Let's get another quarterback. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff that's kind of ridiculed in like the real press or the real sports world. That's the kind of stuff that you want to see. It's like, oh my God, why did they just choose this person when this person who's fighting for a world championship coming up is still on the board? Let's get these reasons. Let's interview the GMs and find out why. Yeah. And you can tell a really compelling story with the draft.
You could.
I just wonder if writing something like that might be too ambitious for them to do, and that's why they're not doing it, which is a shame because we're in the Paul Levesque era. You're supposed to be putting a lot of attention to detail into your programming now, and we're not seeing it.
Yeah. I mean, even what's the rationale behind drafting Jey Uso first overall?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For Raw on the SmackDown edition. Like, what's the rationale behind that? Why?
Why did he go before Seth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Drew McIntyre, any number of, I understand Drew wasn't in the draft pool on Friday, but, the point stands.
Mm-hmm.
What has Jey done over the last 6 months to, in the eyes of Adam Pearce, be worthy of the top pick for Raw? Explain. Right, exactly. I want to hear that. I want to know why.
Yeah.
And Forgotten Media here says because they want to push Jey. I understand, but from a storyline perspective, I think it'd be interesting to find those things out.
Yeah, because like they want to push Jey. That's like a real world thing, and we're not talking about we're talking about something that's scripted.
Yes.
So like you need something in the real world, and obviously in wrestling, sometimes one runs into the other. They made a big deal, or at least on social media, we saw Drew McIntyre re-signed with WWE. Did they, and I'll be honest with you, I might have completely missed that. Did they mention that on programming
Not
last
that I noticed,
night?
no.
Okay. Like that's kind of, they mentioned it when Jade Cargill came over. That's a big deal. And I kind of feel like when wrestlers re-sign with the company, they really should be making like a big deal about that on their programming, not just like on social media or whatever. But and maybe that didn't play into the stories that they want to tell, and I understand that. But yeah, I kind of just feel like there's a lot of really great ideas. You've mentioned some. I've seen plenty in our comments. I've seen plenty on social media, and I wonder if, you know, maybe that's just those are ideas that are so ambitious, and trying to you know, put this puzzle together in a way is just too much for them. That's the only thing I can think of, especially got a pay-per-view coming up.
In terms of logistics of announcing the drafts a la an actual draft, you know, one after the other as opposed to bunches of 4, you know, you could just have one pick announced per segment essentially.
Well, this is a good idea here too in our Twitch chat. It looks like Twitch just went down, but in our Twitch chat, Stan with the first time chat says they should do the draft as its own event/day, not during Raw or SmackDown. I think that's a great idea too. You know, you can make that, you know, a Peacock event, you know, or just something that plays out on social or their YouTube or something like that. And then the ramifications of that will end up on Raw or SmackDown. There's a lot of, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a really cool concept that obviously they've been doing for a very long time now, off and on. And, you know, they could do a lot of things with it. And it's a shame that they don't really, at least this year, they didn't really maximize its fullest potential. Look, when you trot out Paul Levesque, when you trot out the game and, oh, we're in a new era and everything is, you know, we're focusing on the best this, the best that, like that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of expectation that you've built up. You got to try to deliver on that stuff.
Yeah.
And again, like this year did not seem too much different from when then Vince was doing it.
No, and apparently, you know, at least for SmackDown last week, the ratings were down. I understand there's a lot of competition from other sporting events and such, with the NBA playoffs going on and all that. But, you know, in years past, the draft, I think, was generally a boost for the ratings.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see, you know, coming off a hugely successful WrestleMania, ratings are high, attendance is great. To see the draft, which is usually, you know, one of the moments they can count on a pop in the ratings, kind of see it take a step back from the norm. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I doubt there's going to be enough of a dip for them to reevaluate how they conduct the draft and try to make it a bit more exciting. Also, the NFL draft was this weekend, but it's last weekend. But it feels like it needs a little bit of a shakeup, so to say, to freshen up the formula they've been employing over the last few years.
And you know what? I mean, they say that it doesn't conclude until the 7th, so it's still a week away from, you know, and as you've suggested, we could see trades. We could see.
They said last night that they made it seem like there still could be movement as opposed to as of what is the 2nd. That's when everybody who got drafted to their specific brands will stay on that brand.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
That's how it kind of made it sound last night.
Yeah. So it's pretty much done with.
Yeah.
We're good.
The draft itself, in terms of movement of roster members, is done. But like people who were on SmackDown drafted to Raw can kind of have their swan song on SmackDown on Friday, and then on Monday for Raw, that's it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's more what it seemed like. Yeah.
So moving away from the criticism of the draft, let's talk about what actually happened. Specifically NXT. Raw got loaded up with some really good wrestlers. Specifically Ilja, I believe Lyra Valkyria both went to
and Dijak both got drafted.
Dijak went to Raw. Gunther remains on Raw. So right there you've got Ilja and Gunther being able to rekindle a feud at some point. That being sort of my top choice of like what I want to see. How do they approach that particular feud in the correct manner? Do you think Ilja is going to end up in the King of the Ring tournament, or are they going to wait till after that? Because right now Gunther is sort of focused on that. How do you see that playing out? How would you like to see that play out?
I mean, I guess they could do one of two things. They could put Ilja in the King of the Ring tournament, have him have his match with Gunther, maybe even eliminate Gunther if they really want him to make a splash. Although I don't anticipate Gunther taking too many L's, even though he has lost the Intercontinental title.
A match last night against Woods.
It's really good. I know. It's great. Chopping the knee. Fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
Or they slow burn it, which is typically what they've been doing of late, is really taking their time. And I think in an interview last night after the draft, I read about it, I didn't see it, that he was asked about facing Gunther. He described it as destiny.
Destiny.
You know, they're two wrestlers whose careers are going to be intertwined probably for the duration of their careers. Mm-hmm. So I guess they could spend time building up Ilja for the main roster audience, so that when the inevitable clash with Gunther happens, Ilja's got the backing of the fans more than he may have right now.
Yeah. I think he's gonna fit in so perfectly on main roster, especially on Raw. More time for matches, longer matches. I thought that was a really good. I mean, look at what you've got on Raw, man. You've got, you got Gunther, you've got Ilja, you got Sami, you got Gable still on Raw.
You've got Drew, you got Dijak.
Punk, if his body holds up, anyways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff going on there.
Seth,
and of course,
when he returns. I don't know if you mentioned Seth.
Jones as well.
That's true.
Who got drafted to Raw again. So hopefully for that fella, we'll actually get to see him on TV for once.
Yeah.
But yeah, the NXT picks, I think it was like Blair Davenport to let me bring up the notes.
To SmackDown. Lyra to Raw, Ilja to Raw. I'm trying to think if there's any more. Dijak to Raw. As far as
Dijak, it's gonna be interesting to see him, because it's like the aspect of it that is his character. Like, who cares? He's just a phenomenal personality, and he's an even better wrestler. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of stuff that we're going to expect on Raw. Let me get to the WWE. It's so easy to look at the WWE Instagram account and get some of these.
I'll mention, while you do that, I'll mention the supplemental picks, the ones that took place after Raw concluded last night. So Raw gets Odyssey Jones, Natalya, New Catch Republic, Carter and Chance, Dijak, the Creeds, and Ivy Nile. SmackDown drafted Giovanni Vinci
away from
Imperium, who went first overall,
which is good for him.
On Raw last night, Tegan Knox and Apollo Crews.
I really hope Apollo Crews gets some TV time. Even if you put him, could you imagine him in a tag situation with Giovanni Vinci? Like, my gosh, in terms of like the in-ring stuff, and then let them build some chemistry.
Do you want Vinci to go back to the...
Dude, I was advocating for years for Apollo Crews to be... You remember that little bit of arrogance we saw in him on that one episode of NXT?
Yeah.
Even the stuff he did with Lashley that time when they were doing the
pose off. Yeah, that was great.
Pose off. If you give Apollo like sort of... I always referred to it as like an Any Given Sunday. Because I love... That movie is so great in that it just shows the like... It's like kind of cynical... But it's like, the business of football and the business of large personalities in the sports world. And if you give that to Apollo Crews, none of this time traveler stuff, that's like, not that. But like, this dude is like a premier athlete. I'm talking about Tony Nese. But you give him kind of like a cock of the walk, mildly arrogant, sports personality. And you add Giovanni Vinci's old, posing guy personality to that, there could be some really fun stuff you do with that.
Yeah, could be.
And I'm just, because I'm looking at two guys who are going nowhere right now, so I'm like, put those guys together, challenge for the tag titles, and maybe you'll have something. Because otherwise, if you just stick them as singles guys, I don't know that they're going to find stuff for them to do.
I should say, if they keep them as singles wrestlers without finding something interesting from a character perspective for them to do, then yeah.
Right.
You know, if they take the Any Given Sunday thing to the next logical conclusion, imagine their tag team, Any Given Friday.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. See? Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
It's a good tag team name.
Yeah, that is a good tag team name. I mean, the matches between them and like Cedric and Ashanti.
Oh, off the charts.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Pause here for a second. Samuel Raja gifted a Friendo Club membership to the community. Thank you very much, Sam. Appreciate it. Survivor 1993 has been a member of Friendo Club here for 10 months. Says, Dijak to Raw, let's go.
It's very exciting.
Very excited to see that. Also, a super chat from AJ says, what do you think about the off-screen picks? We just talked about that a little bit. And then we had a super chat from General. Says, presumably Jay went first because he's challenging for the title.
Well, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. If Jay wins, he's going to Raw anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Even if he's a SmackDown talent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I use that rationale as why AJ was drafted later on night one. Like Raw's probably thinking, oh, we don't want to draft this guy because he can be on, he can not even be on an episode of Raw.
If Jay
and beat Cody for that title and be on SmackDown, it'd be a waste of a pick.
So like, here's the thing about Jay, is that he always finds himself in big money situations, but like he hasn't won like a title.
No.
And if he goes in there and loses to Damian Priest, he's not going to beat Sami, although that'd be a hell of a feud, him versus Sami for the IC title.
It would be really good.
Like, I don't know, if you're not drafting like a potential world title main event guy at number one, like, what are you even doing? You know?
I know.
So I don't know. Elsewhere on Raw in the build to Backlash, because that's going down. We're going to be doing our live reactions to that, or live watch along rather, Saturday morning for us. So on the West Coast, 10 a.m. Pacific. Yeah. So whatever else, wherever you are,
1 Eastern.
Right. We're going to be doing that across both our YouTube channel and Twitch. Our predictions are going up today over at the Friendo Club Wrestling channel, so be sure to pick that up. Elsewhere, though, we had Drew McIntyre playing some cat and mouse with CM Punk, who was in one of those suites, one of those nice arena suites, and Drew went to go look for him, and then Punk he went to the ring and he sat down and he cut a promo on him. So this feud is really fun stuff, man, and they've been able to make the most out of CM Punk as he's recovering from a triceps tear. Mm-hmm. And I think that Drew keeping this feud alive through his social media activity, this is like this has the makings for feud of the year if both these guys can get on the same page health wise and actually pay this damn thing off. I really love what I saw last night, though.
Yeah, same. I mean, there was a couple good matches, obviously, on Raw last night, but the standout from a storyline perspective was the Drew and CM Punk stuff. Absolutely. Drew's obsession with getting revenge on CM Punk. And as we see in the past, when he puts too much pressure on himself, he folds.
Standing up there in the suite looking like an asshole.
I know.
With an autographed CM Punk picture.
I know. So it's going to be interesting to see, whether it's SummerSlam a little bit before, maybe perhaps a little bit after this match happened, whether Drew maybe wins the title from Priest at Clash at the Castle in Scotland, and their match, Punk and Drew's match at SummerSlam is a title match. Who knows? I don't necessarily think it necessitates the title, but I'd be pretty surprised if Drew does not get a title shot in Scotland.
Yeah, same.
And if he gets another title shot at Clash of the Castle and loses again.
You know, dude, they got him under contract now. They got him to sign this deal. You're in Scotland. You got to do the thing. I think Priest is great. I love Priest. But, like, they are not treating him since his Mania cash-in as anything close to being a top champion on Raw. And Drew and Punk, this thing is so hot. You got to see it. You got to see Drew win it in Scotland. You can continue to build Damian Priest. It gives him a story then to work with, because Judgment Day is a mess. Judgment Day has been a mess for a spell now, and especially with Rhea, who's the glue. She's gone. You know, we saw what happened to JD last night. They can't get out of their own way. It kind of makes story sense for Priest to have kind of a short run with this title, because Judgment Day is a mess.
Yeah. I mean, he spent 2 minutes lecturing Judgment Day last night about getting out of his way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, I don't anticipate Jey Uso beating Damian Priest for the title at Backlash, but whether it be a Clash of the Castle, some other show in the very near future, I would not be surprised if Priest is at the disadvantage and Judgment Day, thinking they're coming out to help him, cost him the title.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it'll take the Drew Punk stuff even further up whenever Punk is ready to go. You know, maybe that's a SummerSlam match. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's an absolutely killer feud. I think Drew McIntyre has understood, and I'm really curious about the creative process behind this. If it's all been, because something tells me, because Drew went so like immediately. To me, it always felt like Drew understood that there was a lot of money to be made here, and he doubled down on all the Punk social media stuff.
Yeah.
And I think they probably just understood this is going to be a money thing if they just keep it going. And you know, regardless of what the genesis or the origins were, they've done a great job without being able to touch each other. And you see, like, they had to keep themselves so far away from each other, and it just amplified, you know, the heat here.
It really did.
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good stuff last night. I really did.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Let's jump into it. So Raw opens up with Logan Paul, I Show Speed, and then Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl winning quarterback for Kansas City.
Big deal.
Massive deal.
Yeah.
Showing up at the arena. Judgment Day walks up to him. They're all chatting. And then they talk some crap about Jey Uso. We're inside the arena. Michael Cole, Pat McAfee introducing the show. Talk about the draft. Have a shot of respective brands' war rooms. Shot of the Performance Center. All the NXT talent there. Becky Lynch makes her way to the ring for a promo. She says, the man has come around to Kansas City. We got some history, don't we? A lot of people say this is where the man was born. Nearly 6 years ago, I stood up on those steps, face bloodied, and have had everyone know this is my show now. Here I stand as your new women's world champion, saying the same damn thing. We're on night 2 of the draft, and times are changing. We got a whole new division waiting in the wings, and it's taken me 2 years to get back to holding a world championship. Now that I am holding it, my instinct is to never let it go, but championships aren't just for holding, they're for defending. Kansas City, we need a number 1 contender, and I want to fight the best. This brings out...
Yeah, instead, Liv Morgan comes out.
Watch me.
Watch me.
Watch me.
She says, Becky, if you want a number 1 contender, I'm right here. She says, the very last thing I wanted was you to hand me a title opportunity, but I can't help but feel like you owe me one. The only reason you have that belt is because I did what you couldn't do at WrestleMania and took out Rhea Ripley. This is the revenge tour after all, and I think we both know the end game here was always going to be me. So I'm not going to stop until I have everything I want. And Becky's like, yeah, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be holding this belt. The interesting thing, though, is you would be holding this if it wasn't for what I did to you. Funny how that works. Out brings Nia Jax, and the crowd just gives her some shit, and she is reveling in it. She has a big smile on her face and is like, rude. That shit was hilarious. I love Nia Jax so much. Anyway, she says, first of all, Kansas City, you're very rude for not welcoming me into your home. She fakes a high five to a little girl. That shit was hilarious. She says, I dominated both of you. I should be champion right now. The only reason I'm not is because you two made sure I wouldn't. Lucky for you, I got drafted to the superior show SmackDown, which I'm wearing blue tonight, you idiots. She says, just like Bailey, Naomi, and Tiffany found out, I'll soon be champion, so not too worried about that. Tonight's my last night on Raw. If I'm leaving, I'm taking one of you with me. And then Liv drop kicks Nia out of the ring and says, if you're making a challenge tonight, I accept. So that match happens on later on tonight.
Yep. Then we see Jey Uso arriving earlier today. Then we see Stephanie McMahon walking backstage. He's going to announce the first round picks for night 2 of the draft. So she comes to the podium, says it sure feels good to be back in Kansas City. Welcome to night 2. With the first pick of round 1, Raw selects the ring general Gunther.
Gunther from Austria.
Ludwig Kaiser, Imperium. So SmackDown, second pick of the first round, selects Jade Cargill. Third pick of the first round goes to Raw. They select Damage Control, so they switch brands.
Mm-hmm.
And then SmackDown selects Kevin Owens.
This was a really good way to kick off the draft night, too.
It was a strong first round, yeah.
These made all the sense in the world. They made a lot of sense.
Yeah. You have Gunther, who's just coming off this long Intercontinental title reign.
Yeah, right.
It makes sense. He's, the most dominant day-to-day champion on the show for the last year. It makes sense for him to go first overall, absolutely.
Yeah,
him and Ludwig Kaiser, but yeah.
Absolutely.
It's mostly Gunther that garnered the number 1 pick.
After that, we had Gunther, the ring general, versus Xavier Woods. Of course, Gunther aiming for that King of the Ring title. Xavier Woods, last guy to hold King of the Ring.
Yep.
And we got this match. Oh, boy.
Fantastic.
Xavier Woods is one of those guys where he's not really, he's not really spotlighted as like wrestler guy, but my God,
he's really good.
Go.
He's a really good wrestler,
man.
Boy, he's a really good wrestler. You put him in the ring with Gunther.
Oh my!
You get something great. So at one point, Woods gets caught up in the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
His knee does, and then so Gunther just targets it. We've seen submission moves, leg DDTs. Putting on various locks and holds, but Gunther starts chopping his leg.
Yeah, because Woods is sort of wrapped up in the ropes, and so his torso is like on the apron. So Gunther just comes down, walks over there.
Chops him right in the leg.
Yeah.
And he starts mocking Xavier Woods by faking a limp. Just great heel work from Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
And Woods selling throughout the leg. So at one point, Gunther has Woods in a single leg Boston Crab, and then Kofi goes down the timekeeper area. He's like, give me a towel. Like, he doesn't want to see Xavier Woods be put through this. So he's got the towel. He's about to throw it in. Woods is yelling at him, don't do it.
Now, if this was Trent Seven, of course, that towel would have been thrown immediately.
Yeah, it's been chucked from the timekeeper area into the ring. So Kofi doesn't throw in the towel. And so Woods is reaching for the ropes. He's so close. And then Gunther pulls him back towards the middle of the ring and does like an STF/cravat combo.
Yeah.
Woods has to tap.
Oh, it was good.
Fantastic match.
He had his legs wrapped up, and he was elbowing his head, and then he oh man.
Yeah, it was great.
That was good stuff. So yeah, he ends up tapping out. Ring general gets the win here. Kofi gets in to check on Woods. Kaiser's applauding from the outside. Gunther with some more mocking, and he takes, he mimes taking the crown from Woods' head and puts it on his own and smiles. Oh, good stuff. So backstage, Gunther with another win. Backstage, Kathy's with Jey Uso. She's asking about pressure, but in the background, Larson, we see Liv Morgan, like way down the hallway, walking out of a room, and who follows her?
Dominic Mysterio. Later on.
Mysterio.
Yeah.
Ooh. So we see that go on in the background. Jay says, pressure from being a first round pick, pressure from being a world title opportunity. Nah, no pressure. Watch me work. Put on my back. Backlash. Damian Priest going to catch this yeet down. She asked about Logan Paul. He's like, I'm glad we signed a Paul brother. Just wish it was the one with the winning record. Yeet. Ooh. And then we go to commercial.
So apparently the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight is going to be like an actual sanctioned bout.
I saw that.
It's going to be reflected in their win-loss records.
Dude, man, I've seen, and granted, I understand that being in the actual match is a lot different than like social media posts of Mike Tyson doing like boxing moves, but that guy is still quick as lightning. He is scary.
You got to imagine he's still got the punching power too, or at least a portion of it.
Oh, dude, I know. He is in phenomenal shape.
He is.
So, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Jake Paul's going to spend a good portion of the early part of that match just moving around the ring.
Probably. I get the feeling it's going to be probably not the greatest fight we've ever seen.
Yeah.
No. But I'm kind of curious to see how this goes down.
I know. Because if Mike Tyson gets a good shot in early, it could be over.
I know. Early. Yeah.
So Jake Paul's going to do a lot of running around that ring. Try to avoid
so.
Tyson's punch.
You would think so, yeah. A couple super chats here. Mickey G says NXT should be draft only, Raw, SmackDown trades only. It should be draft only, Raw, SmackDown trades.
Now, it would be interesting if, say, after the 6 rounds for Raw and the 4 rounds for SmackDown concluded, for anybody who didn't get drafted, NXT gets like first dibs.
Well, I've seen people, and, let's try to make some sense of this while we're talking about it. I've seen some people say, NXT was supposed to be involved in the draft. They didn't draft anybody. I don't know that WWE ever formally said NXT is participating as a proper third brand and therefore they get to pick. It seemed on camera anyways from that episode where Ava was talking to Pierce and Aldis was zooming in, that she was, NXT is what NXT is. It's another draft pool. And y'all get to pick from NXT's draft pool because that's their function. We are providing the talent of the future for you guys. We're not picking people because we're not a proper third brand. That's how it seemed to be spelled out on TV. But there seemed to be some info in advance of the draft where people, I think, sort of misinterpreted.
Even the logo for the draft, they had the red, they had the blue, and then the line through the WWE logo was yellow. So it made
was
you
yellow,
feel like
yeah.
NXT was going to be involved. I get why people might have thought or infer that NXT would have more involvement. I get it.
I get it too, but like when you go back and actually look at it,
it was never spelled out. No,
I do think that it probably should have been spelled out in advance. NXT is, NXT is, this is where the future, it's their whole tagline, watch the future of the WWE now, or whatever it is. But yeah, I don't, it seemed kind of clear from like watching on camera, this is where people are going to be drafted from, not drafted to.
Next, we got a video package about the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl win and then the parade afterwards, which unfortunately there was a mass shooting at, and there was a young boy who took to the team bus for shelter. And then before Raw went on the air, they had him and I think some members of the Chiefs introduce the show to the live crowd.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was
really
really
sweet. Cool. Yeah, boy, oh boy. After that, Logan Paul and iShow Speed were introduced. They make their way out to do some draft picks. Logan asked Samantha Irvin to do an introduction for Mahomes, and she does one. And then iShow Speed, with a lot of passion, says, with the first pick in the second round of 2024 WWE Draft, Raw selects CM Punk. And then Logan announces SmackDown's pick, The Pride, of course, the Prophets, Lashley and B-Fab. And then Speed announces the next pick. Raw selects Braun Strowman, which was really cool to see him back. And then Logan announced the final pick of round 2, Tiffany Stratton, remaining on SmackDown.
Yep. And then after that, Logan says, that was fun and all. I came here to make some picks, maybe celebrate with Patrick Mahomes, but I got here and now Jey Uso is running his mouth for me telling the truth. Jey made a mistake leaving the bloodline because Jey Uso is incapable of being a champ on his own, something I'm become a master of. Look, Kansas City, let me give you a play-by-play. Well, Jey's music hit. It's just him, Uso. Yeet. So he comes out and says, Logan Paul's got predictions for Backlash, but Kansas City, I want to hear what you got to say. You think Jey Uso can beat Damian Priest? Yeet. Yeet. You think Jey Uso can be World Heavyweight Champion? Yeet. You think Jey Uso should pop Logan in the face for running his mouth? No yeet. So Logan says, what is this? You think you can out-yeet me now? Been yeeting since 2017. Yeet. So he yeets. No pop. No pop. Logan continues, good on your own, Jey, but the difference is me and my bloodline, we're tight. So Finn and JD come to the ring and stand on the apron. They get in the ring, and Logan says, well, Jey Uso, you're all alone. You can't think for yourself. You couldn't think for yourself then. You can't think for yourself now. A little behind with your 2 brain cells. You only got 2 words, yeet and oos. Shut up, stupid. So Jey attacks Finn and JD. They double team Jey. Logan slides out of the ring and goes over to Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes gives him a couple of the Super Bowl rings. Yeah, man. So Logan puts him on, gets the ring. He's looking to punch Jey with the rings. Instead, Jey gets out of the way, and JD takes it right in the forehead. Ooh, yeah. So Logan and Finn are standing over JD, stunned about what happens, and Jay's back there laughing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Finn and Logan are so stunned that they forget Jey Uso's back there for a moment, until Jay takes down Finn. But Logan and Finn eventually overwhelm Jay. Braun Strowman's music hits. He's massive. He comes to the ring, and he makes the save. He goes down to Patrick Mahomes, and he starts talking crap, but then Jay pulls him back. It's like, hey, it's all good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good to see Braun back. I know he was going through some shit.
Yeah. He had neck surgery or something like that.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. He also got new hair.
He did.
Saw that on Instagram as well. After that, we had Gable talking with Truth backstage, and Gable's like, pleasure doing business with you. So they came to some sort of agreement, and Miz is like, you negotiated some kind of tag match tonight? And Truth is like, made a deal with Gable. Great businessman. Said if we give him one match tonight, he gives us 2 next time. He says, tonight's a draft. We could be drafted to the NFL and be players for the Chiefs. Miz is like, dude, it's the WWE draft, not the NFL. And Truth's like, I do now. My bad. Who do I talk to? And then Miz says, Mahomes, and Truth says, the insurance guy, I can get a bundle on my house. It's 2 for 1 all day. We're on a roll and keep rolling. And Gable says, quite the negotiator you have. And Miz gives a few reallys. And then Gable just turns around and eats a nasty haluva kick from Sami Zayn, who just stands over him.
Yep. And then we get a Make-A-Wish video package. Following that, we have Booker T and Kathy backstage. So they have Booker T as kind of their draft analyst.
Right, yes.
They're Todd McShay, they're Mel Kiper Jr.
Mm-hmm.
So so Booker says, Jade Cargill, #1 pick for SmackDown. That's a game changer. What a big break for CM Punk to stay on Raw. That's huge. So the camera pans out and shows Drew just staring at Booker T.
Mm-hmm.
And Booker just says, hey, what's up, Drew? And Drew says, tell me you just didn't say that.
That was fun.
How is it that a guy who had one match and got injured by me gets drafted over a guy who just won the world title? And Booker says, the one you don't have around your waist right now? And Drew says, you saw exactly what happened. And Booker says, do you know what happened? And Drew follows. I've been with you since back in the day. I know who you are, and I know how you feel about Punk.
Mm-hmm.
You changed. And so he walks off.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's referring to that story in the locker room about picking up the trash.
Well, yeah. And then we had Sami Zayn versus Bronson Reed. Let's see here. Oh yeah, they always like making their El Generico references. There was a couple of those here.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, though, Sami rolls out of the ring. Reed charges off the apron with a shoulder tackle. He looks at the Intercontinental title before rolling Sami back into the ring. Sami comes out of nowhere with a haluva kick, but before he could do anything with it, Gable rolls in and hits a German suplex for the DQ win for Sami Zayn. Gable, of course, beats the crap out of Sami, locks in an ankle lock. The refs come in to break it up. Reed heads to the top rope, hits a tsunami on Sami. Gable grabs the IC belt, stares over Sami. Reed grabs him, hits a Death Valley driver on Gable. Reed grabs the belt and raises it up over Gable and Sami. So wouldn't be shocked to see some sort of triple threat situation with these guys.
Seems to be going that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So then we see a recap of Kiana James getting picked on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get JBL and Ron Simmons announcing round 3. So the first pick of round 3, Raw takes the LWO, including Carlito.
I like that they did that and mentioned, oh, what an awkward situation because of what happened.
And then SmackDown, with their first pick of the 3rd round, takes Legado. Raw then selects Drew McIntyre. And then SmackDown selects Shinsuke Nakamura. Mm-hmm. So he's switching brands.
Yeah, so he can he's going to SmackDown. So, hey, maybe he can feud with Cody Rhodes.
There you go. Rekindle that feud.
He can rekindle that feud. That tepid feud.
Yeah, so Drew's music hits after the end of that round. He storms out and says, well, I'm the only sane and logical person left. In what world does Drew McIntyre get drafted in round 3? Not one person here could come up to me and tell me it makes sense. If they did, I'd call you a liar. APA, have you been drinking since Friday? Because how much stupid is this? Punk, congratulations. You finally achieved something since coming back. You hurt Drew McIntyre. When you attacked me from behind, I fractured my elbow. He's got like a sleeve on his arm.
Yeah.
Says, but unlike you, who's sitting at home, kicking your feet back, collecting a paycheck, I come to work week after week. I come to work like a real man. So Punk's music hits.
And Drew's like looking around. He's like, where is this guy? Where is this guy?
And so you hear Punk say, cut the music. It's good to be alive on on Monday night in Kansas City or what? And the camera cuts up to a luxury box and fills up there. And he says, I'm not at home, Drew. I'm right here, you little bitch.
Ooh.
So Drew gets upset. He storms backstage. He's looking to find that luxury box.
Yeah,
and the crowd's chanting CM Punk. And Ron Simmons is... Damn.
They even gave him like a good motivated storyline reason to say damn.
I know.
And then Drew goes confusingly off to go find wherever hell CM Punk is. Like, wait, where is this one? Where's the stairs? Is there an escalator around here? How do I get up there?
I know.
Which number is that? Very confusing. Anyways, we've got backstage Alpha Academy hyping up Maxine, and Gable walks in. He's like, what's this? And she's like, oh, man, I had 2 eliminations last week. Gable poo-poos that particular part. He says, oh, yeah, 2 eliminations? Can I see your championship? You lost. So what do you want me to do? Celebrate mediocrity? You want a participation ribbon? Otis, get it together. Tozawa, I swear, if I see you do the dance tonight, go out and win me a championship. He storms off. They all look very sad. Ivy walks in and drags Maxine out to help her warm up. We go to break. Kathy's backstage with Braun Breaker. She's like, how do you feel about Raw? And he says, I think Pierce knows I'm the best possible pick. I'm here to take this place over. Why was he low talking, Larson?
I don't know.
He was like almost whispering.
I don't know, man.
He's like, I think they're filming something over there.
Yeah.
No, we're filming you right now.
Maybe he thought that he was supposed to be quiet so you could hear Drew McIntyre do something.
Oh, that could
be.
be.
Because he storms through later. But
Yeah.
instead, Sheamus walks in and is like, oh, apologies for interrupting. And Braun says, so why'd you apologize? Interrupt me then. Sheamus says, I just came to say I'm a huge fan, and I'm not saying that so I can find the BMF around here. But you remind me of young, hungry Sheamus having banger after banger after banger, and that's when Drew storms by them. And so they stop. And then so Braun just smirks. Banger.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, man. Let's channel a little bit of your uncle there, man. Let's get some Scott Steiner in your speech.
I mean, that's what he does with the ring. He's all intensity and energy.
Yeah. Well, Kathy, 99% chance of me coming here to Raw. 123% chance of me getting the world title.
I mean, especially
Where's my freaks?
After Drew, posted the video of Scott Steiner from Impact as it relates to Sheamus.
Yeah.
Why didn't Braun make reference to that?
I know, man. He was always making references in NXT. Got that dog in me, Kathy. After that, we had Maxine versus Candace LeRae. Maxine was really bringing some heat to Candace here. I've never seen a kip up like this before. That kip up was absolutely not, because Maxine, she's so long. She has those like really long legs. She did the kip up, like her legs like landed and then she goes up with it. It was really cool. And then she did the reverse the caterpillar thing or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. And so then Maxine, let's see here. Oh, here we go. So Candace trips up Maxine with an ankle lock. Maxine drags her to the middle. Maxine tightens the grip. Indy throws Ivy into the ring post. Maxine breaks the hold. Candace hits a big boot, then a wicked stepmother for the win. And then afterwards, Indy carries Candace to the back. More picks are coming in. We see Carlito's attack on Dragon Lee. Backstage, the LWO, of course, without Carlito, are asked by Jackie. Ray is asked about his feelings about all that. And he says, lots of mixed emotions, but we're excited to be here on Raw. Carlito, I don't know why he did what he did, which means we still have some unfinished business. And then Dom walks up. Hey, you old geezer. Don't forget, Judgment Day runs Raw. Welcome back to you and your lollipop gang. And then Ray says, how can you run Raw if you haven't even been drafted yet? Also, wait a minute. What's that on your lip? A dirty Sanchez? Lacey was on her phone watching Raw. Or she was on her phone while I was watching Raw. She was like, he can't say that on TV. They said it a couple times throughout the broadcast, too.
Oh, yeah.
Dom says, "You're lucky I'm not clear," and he storms off. Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah. So then we see Drew storming up by the luxury suites. And he's going from one to one, trying to find Punk.
So confused going through that
asking
arena.
security,
Man.
is he in this one? Is he here? And someone finally says, yes, he was in this one. So the door is open. So he just walks in, it's empty, and he sees an autographed picture of CM Punk. Mm-hmm. So Punk's music hits. So Drew, he's upset. Then he goes and takes a seat in the front row of the luxury suite. Phil comes out, and he says, I love Kansas City and the people that inhabit it, and I don't want to waste your time like Drew McIntyre, so I'm going to do this in as much time as he was world champion. So that means I got about 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Pat, time me.
Oof.
He says, this would normally be where I ask you, do I have your attention now? But I can see it like everyone else. I've had it for quite some time. You're like an ex-girlfriend I can't get rid of. You say I hurt your elbow. Good. You prayed for me to get injured. I did that to you. I thought you got hurt just sitting on Twitter and tweeting, which seems that's all you're good for. That's why I got drafted before you. I'm not out for revenge. You've given me purpose. The reason I was drafted before you was simple wrestling economics. I am the best in the world, in this ring, on this microphone, even on commentary. No offense, Pat and Michael. Losers hope things happen. Losers pray for things to happen. Winners make it happen. When I'm cleared, I assure you I'm going to make your life a living hell. So he's done. Music hits. Drew kind of smirks to himself up in the box.
He's steaming, though. He is steaming. Oh,
he's not happy.
This is good stuff, man. After that, we had Teddy Long and Alundra Blaze making their way out to announce the next picks. Going in Raw friend Medusa. Punk and Medusa share a cute little moment as he leaves. And then SmackDown's next pick is Naomi. Raw then gets Ilya Dragunov from NXT. NXT's performance.
Oh, Raw takes Judgment Day first in that round.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Raw takes Judgment Day. And then let's see here. SmackDown's final pick is Piper Niven and Chelsea Green. Later on, Adam Pearce is celebrating that pick.
Yeah.
And then we have Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax. Hell of a match between these two. Liv ends up picking up. So Liv flips Nia face first in the middle buckle. Hits a leaping double stomp and covers Nia for a 2. Nia comes back with a big spine buster, drags Liv to the corner. Heads up for Annihilator as Liv crawls up and grabs Nia's arm and slams her into the buckle and then hits a great power bomb on her for 2. Naomi appears in the crowd because Tiffany was sitting in the crowd. Naomi appears. She attacks Tiffany, tosses her over the barricade. Naomi throws Tiffany into the table as Naomi kicks Tiffany while on the apron as Nia knocks Naomi off the apron and hits a springboard. Liv hits a springboard codebreaker, then an Oblivion to get the win over Nia Jax, sort of making her case for a Becky Lynch match.
Well, Nia's on SmackDown now.
Yeah, but still, Liv saying, "Hey, I'm gonna."
Oh, Liv, yes, sorry.
Yeah, Liv, yeah.
So then after that, we get another interview with Booker T. He's asked about the picks, and he says, who's going to be next? Trick Williams, Roxanne Perez. I got to congratulate Ilya on being drafted to Raw. And so Kathy sees Adam Pearce walking. She runs up to him and asked how he feels about his draft. He says, I feel great. New foundation on Raw. My favorite pick is the one I didn't make, Chelsea Green going to SmackDown. Nick, I hope you pray a lot because hallelujah, she's all yours. Now I got to go make a couple picks.
Yep.
And then next picks are round 5, which not Adam Pearce, the Dudleys announced this round. So first, Raw takes the New Day. SmackDown selects Pretty Deadly. Raw selects Lyra Valkyria. And I like that when they show the NXT talents getting drafted, they go to the camera there and they give them their moment,
I know. I really like that aspect of it. Yeah.
And Lyra just being overwhelmed by the emotion of it. It was great.
Yeah.
And then SmackDown selects Candace and Indy. So they're switching brands.
There was a report, and again, these days, you never know. But there was a report that, like, the Shawn Michaels and his crew in NXT were worried that they were just going to get,
wrecked like last year, yeah.
But, like, I don't know, no champions were taken.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody that was picked, like, you could sort of see from a mile away, like Ilya seemed obvious.
Yeah.
They had done everything.
Yeah.
Like, I know Kiana was still maybe doing some stuff, but like, come on, that's not really going to affect much. But you had Ilja, made sense. Lyra, made sense. Dijak's been there forever. He's already been on main roster. That made sense. Baron Corbin made sense. Braun Breaker was already on SmackDown. Carmella was already on main roster for a spell.
Yeah.
Everything, even Blair Davenport, like, I never really thought she needed much more than a cup of coffee in NXT just to get used to WWE stuff.
Yeah.
But like, NXT is still, they've got depth on their roster.
They do.
And like, Trick wasn't going anywhere.
No.
You know, like, he's going to be, they got this new CW deal. I read that. I remember reading that report and being like, that seems weird. That's like what, HBK and Levesque, they're not in contact about this stuff.
I know.
I don't know. That never made any sense to me.
No, same. So then after that, we had Awesome Truth versus Alpha Academy. Otis and Tozawa letting Chad Gable down. This is a pretty quick match. Awesome Truth win with a truth-crushing finale.
Yeah.
So then after that, we see the Judgment Day backstage. Dom is complaining about being drafted in the fourth round, and then Priestess goes off. He goes, "What? You're surprised? Week after week, you get involved in my business and fail miserably because you don't talk to me about it. I don't need your help with Jey Uso. Cool, I can beat him my own. Got it." So then JD's standing there. He's got ice on his forehead. Well, he takes it down. He's got this giant welt.
Yeah.
And it's just all red and swollen.
He's the comedic timing here was great because he's sitting here like this, not paying one word of attention at all to Priest. And he's like, "Got it, Finn? Got it, Dom? Got it, JD?" And JD's like, "Wait, what?" It's just this gnarly lump on his, and it's just all red. They did a killer job with the makeup here.
Yeah. It looks like it's infected pretty much.
Yeah. And Priest, oh my God. Everybody recoils in horror at this dude's face. And he said, "This is what I mean. Tonight, stick to the plan and get this done." Oh, it is pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. So backstage, Becky walks up to Liv, says, "Congratulations on the win. You get yourself a title shot." Liv leaves, so Damage Control walks up, and Dakota says, "Well, I guess we'll be seeing a lot more of us now. So we're going to get Io versus Becky Lynch sometime in the near future, and that's going to be great."
Ooh. That's going to be good stuff.
It's going to be great stuff. Then Pierce and Aldis out to announce the final round of picks. Raw takes Final Testament. SmackDown selects We Are. DIY, a brand switch there. Raw takes Bronson Reed, and then SmackDown selects NXT's Blair Davenport.
Yeah, and then again they cut to NXT, and it's good stuff. After that, we got we had our main event, Judgment Day versus Jey Uso, Ricochet, and Andrade. And this is fun stuff, good stuff. Jey Uso, sort of sticking by the old go-home math, looking strong in a win on, who is it, JD? No, Finn. Yeah, Finn, yeah. So there's it's a whole overbook thing. Jay ends up hitting Finn with a spear, and then an Uso splash gets the win. Him and Priest have a bit of a face-off. And that's how Raw is left for Backlash. So we got one SmackDown left, and then the pay-per-view. Or premium live event, sorry.
You can still call it the pay-per-view, Steve.
It just sounds better. Premium live event.
I know. I don't know why. I guess
technically it's right.
It is because it's available on Peacock, not exclusively through pay-per-view.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Anyways, you want to answer some questions?
I think that would be swell.
All right. Blake here asked, now that Raw has Braun, and Bronson, what would you name that stable? You just name it that, Braun, and Bronson.
Yeah, right, exactly. It sounds
like a law firm. Yeah. Or accounting firm.
Hello, welcome to Braun, and Bronson.
There you go.
Wait. Yeah, none of them. No, that doesn't work because it's not Gunther. I don't know why I did Gunther's voice.
I don't know why you did either.
Yeah, Braun, Bronson.
Alex Foster here says, besides just simply calling them free agents, is there a more interesting or effective way to get main roster people onto NXT?
I don't know. It always feels so weird. Like, I don't know. It always just feels like either it's always one of two things. It's like, oh man, this person's here to make NXT talent look better, or this person is here because they're being demoted and maybe they'll have some modicum of success. I don't know. Like it never feels right. It never feels normal, you know? Like I think the closest they got maybe was Cruz because they gave him Apollo Crews rather, because they gave him a whole nother gimmick. And it was weird, but it was like, oh wow, okay, so he has visions where he can see the future, but then we can also see his visions.
Yeah, that part didn't make sense.
It was weird. Yeah.
I like what Dijak did down there. And at first it was very literal in terms of 80s movie vigilante character, but he's kind of gone past that now, and he's seemingly imbuing the character with more of his personality rather than being such a, the archetype that he was trying to go after at first, and it works much better.
Is he like the best example of somebody who was in dire straits on main roster and went to NXT? I think he might be the best because you're absolutely right. Yeah. He really did. That was a reinvention right there.
Yeah.
To go from T-Bar to that.
Yeah.
And if that's the route that more people take, but here's the thing. It's like he was on main roster, but he wasn't as like established as a distinct personality with any amount of success.
I mean, like Finn went down to NXT and started doing the heelish stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But he is already well established on the main roster. First Universal Champion. He won several mid-card titles by that point. So it wasn't like
that was
his career was rock bottom per se.
It was super. That was a super strong run for him. Yeah.
We got some members and super chats here. Redneck Samurai says, how do you feel about Gunther recruiting Ilja into an Imperium?
Nope.
They should feud and feud only.
Yep, feud and feud only.
Mickey G says NXT should you got that one already. David Batushek says, my mom thought AEW got weird after Mercedes bit. Which Mercedes bit?
What Mercedes bit?
The interview where the lights went out.
Was it the bit where she was like,
Yeah.
she got hit. She got hit in the most orgasmic way.
Caslow here says, if Dom has nuclear heat now, what level of heat would Dom get if he betrays Rhea for Liv when Liv comes back? Sorry, when Rhea comes back and challenges Liv.
Yeesh.
It'd be critical mass at that point.
That's a great term for it. Critical mass. Oh my gosh.
Psycho Jet says, what are your guys' tag teams names? Oh, we're the Shit Twins.
We're the Shit Twins.
John.
John.
An Alistair voice. We'd only be able to wrestle in like GCW though. John and Alistair voice says, saw No Country for Old Men yesterday. Anton saying, Friendo, pop me. Love you both immensely. Been tuning in since the James Willems interview.
There you go. There you go.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good. Bulldog says, do you guys think the draft should only be NXT call-up similar to the NFL or any sports draft and then the GM makes trade with each other? No, I don't know. I'm fine with the draft being like they're drafting essentially trades. I'm fine with that. It needs more a sense of urgency.
Timor here asks, what advice are each of you giving Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce in kayfabe before the rosters lock next Monday?
Put Giovanni Vinci and Apollo Crews together as any given Friday.
I mean, the advice, I'm giving Adam Pearce is lay off the sauce, dude.
Yeah, because he fucked it on Friday.
He really did.
He did. Yeah, Jay number really one. Sorry, no yeet.
No yeet for that pick. Kalmika. Sorry, go ahead.
Odd Breakfast says, do you think it's a good thing that the draft is ending feuds that were seemingly never ending? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
He brings up LWO versus LDF. Yes, I think that that's a great thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, at the end, Santos was proven right. He didn't attack Dragon Lee. Everybody can move on.
Everybody can move on.
Kalmiko says, which draft picks do you think will be dark horses as far as their impact this year? Kalmiko brings up Dijak on Raw and Blair Davenport on SmackDown.
Those are big ones. Giovanni Vinci and Apollo Crews.
There you go.
A legendary tag team for the ages. I'll be so hyped. I'll be so happy if they put them together. There's no reason to think they would, but if I, I'm talking about it so much that I really want it to.
You're trying to manifest it, and I can appreciate that.
Yes.
Chris
Oh, wow.
Stanton says, Pat mentioned last night that Xavier Woods is a future Hall of Famer for a tag team. Do you think the New Day are Hall of Fame headliners? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
What,
1,000%.
11, 12-time tag champs?
12-time,
Two
yeah.
world champions?
Yeah.
A king of the ring?
longest reign of all time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Jonathan Vieira says, what movie aliens could you realistically fight and win? What was that one, the Edgar Wright one? Paul?
Yeah.
Maybe that guy? E.T.
Yeah.
E.T. was already sick when he got here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably about it.
Like, come on, you're taking
The friendly aliens, yeah.
Yeah, right, the friendly ones. Like Predator and you know, the Xenomorphs.
No chance.
Not a chance.
No. Vaporized. Lord Ziffer says, no question, wanted to say that my daughter was born a week ago today, and I've been keeping up with wrestling while watching your content at night. When
Nice.
I'm up with her. Thank you guys for the continued great content. Congratulations.
You know, getting laid off in 2015 kind of sucked, but it was 2 weeks after we brought Bama home, and so for like the next year or so, while we were just sort of milling about, just getting to hang out with her all the time was kind of awesome. Not gonna lie. Like, oh man, it's time for her nap. Guess whose nap it is also? Mine.
Mm-hmm. Doc Hensla says, granted, I know it's a placeholder feud with Jay, but who do you think will be Priest's first main event feud? Who's the first feud Priest will have with someone who's like an actual former world champion? Probably Drew?
Dude, here's the question. Will Damian Priest ever win a pay-per-view main event match?
No.
Because it'll that title will main event in June at Clash.
Yeah.
But he will
Well, that's if he faces Drew.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If
Which
he
I
doesn't
think
face
it's gotta
Drew,
happen.
it won't.
That's got to happen.
You'd think so. He might win pay-per-view matches, but that belt is not going to main event while he's champion.
I know. I agree.
Unless he's facing Drew McIntyre at Clash of the Castle.
In
Yeah.
which case he will lose that match. Ultimate Red Extreme says, what's the closest thing in pro wrestling history that compares to the ongoing Drake-Kendrick beef?
Oh, it's like Brett and Shawn Michaels.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good one. There you go.
Scott Steiner and Ric Flair.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that got real. It's like, Scott, what are you doing? You're supposed to be cutting a promo on your actual opponent, and instead you're cutting a promo on Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Nobody said butt sucking the way Scott Steiner did.
Nope.
Such a great, horribly vulgar term. Like, God.
Nikal says, I know we're in a new era for WWE, but why do we still have long opening promo segments to start shows?
Because there's some things that just ain't going to change.
Nope.
That's why. Because remember, I think Triple H, while Vince, the last 5 years that Vince was around, you could see Triple H's influence start to wane, especially in the last couple of years. But that period of time when the Authority would come out and drop 20-minute promos, that was all Triple H.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, here's the thing. You got to start every show with a 20-minute promo.
I wonder if
loves
he
that shit.
thinks those kind of segments to start the show set the table for the rest of the broadcast. And so maybe he thinks, okay, this is not necessarily essential, but this is a good setup for what's to come for the rest of the night.
I like to think that he's like, you know what? People pop on Raw. They got to, it's like, hey, they're probably going to eat their dinner. So let's give them a good 20 minutes to get that dinner going. Then by the time they sit down, 20 minutes are up. We get into a match and they can enjoy their meal,
Maybe.
So that opening promo, that first 20 minutes is just like, hey, you could be in the kitchen. It's all good. You're not going to miss much.
Yeah, you're not missing much here. Just trying to do something with the super chat. It says, I love Pat making fun of Cole for promoting Fall Guys so much. Ricochet had that interview with the director, and there was a whole promotional bit.
Yeah.
With Cole and McAfee. I know.
They have like the Guinness World of Records for most car flips or some shit like that. It looks like a fun movie.
It does. It looks, you got Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt, two really charming performers.
Yeah. Underrated show back in the day, too,
It was.
Fall Guy.
Lee Majors.
Lee Majors, yeah.
You know, I realize we haven't talked about the Friendo Club setup. Did we? We haven't talked about that yet, have we?
Oh man, love.
We're more an hour in.
Setup. We're an hour into. We're about to wrap this shit up, and we haven't talked about the Friendo Club setup. Real quick. Wait, I did. We talked about.
We did.
No, never mind. No, we talked about it on the predictions show.
We did.
We got the big blue predictions challenge, part 2 of the Week of Champions. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people participate. Y'all are like, how do I get on this? Well, very easy. We offer 2 ways. Really, what are those 2 ways? Patreon.com/Stephen Larson. Choose a Friendo Club setup. It's $5 a month. Is there another way to do it? This is the voice that I'm giving to the Friendos. YouTube.com/Stephen Larson. Click join. It's $5 a month. Oh, this is good. And you get bonus episodes. New Friendo cast went up last night. Talked about physical fitness. Speaking of which, we're going to be playing some basketball later on today. So that's fun.
About an hour's time we got in the courts roughly.
Exciting. You get access to the question threads. And, of course, you get access to the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. So consider joining the Friendo Club setup. Because the more people that join the Friendo Club setup, the closer we get to the Tribal Chief setup. And that's what we're trying to do here. You know?
Exactly.
Capitalism at its finest, Lars.
Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button, that notify bell. You got 5 new podcasts at the minimum up every week, each and every week. Also, if you're watching live or on demand, please hit that like button. It's the one that looks like a thumbs up. It's good for the algorithm, get our videos out there. More importantly than that, maybe it's good because it's validation for us. We like to be liked.
The serotonin levels, the endorphins.
Yeah, through the roof.
Firing. Delivering it to the pleasure center of the brain.
Exactly. Each one of those likes, it accomplishes that. So please, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people pointing out, my version of the Friendos sounds like they all smoke, sound like FTR bald, or they're high. Stephen Larson. Been a long time, fam. Been watching you since the Machinima days. How do I get the Friendo Club set up? You should know that already.
Now they do.
Now they do. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. I got Hilton right here. And boy, what a pain in the ass this guy is.
Well, that's the first truthful thing you said about these wrap-ups.
Yeah, he's wrapping us up. That son of a bitch, Hilton, is in my wall wrapping us up. So we're going to get at it. We're going to dump out. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you around.
Goodbye.